Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide. The journey continues today on February 18th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are literally the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies I personally guide my virtually every movement by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people across the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal effort. Now, today happens to be open topic, meaning doesn't matter what the topic. If you've got a question, absolutely drop it in my lap. Write it and put it into the story, put it into the chat room in all caps, partial caps, or at least that little wavy sign. Now, where are we here? Let's do what we don't want to do that. There we are. Now, before we get into it, let's take a peek here. We have Shadow and Sun is in the house, and you have the gold there, Shadow. And with this in mind, this is the link to Shadow's live stream. So drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And then share the daylight out of the thing. That'd be really handy. I'm really appreciated. Yeah, Shadow, it was a really good show yesterday. Really enjoyable. I would have stayed longer, but, I did ask to be sleeping right through the night. I was not counting on it, still meaning I'm only getting 3 hours a night, between midnight and midnight. But at least this time it was a case of I'm getting tired, therefore, instead of complications. Now we have Nightmare is in the house with the silver. Haven't seen you in a while there, Nightmare. Now that may just be me being blind, but I do hope that things have been going well for you. Steve, you are in with the bronze. And then we have LA and Steve. How's your day been going? I know you usually have a hectic time. And LA, you are in with honorable mention. So hopefully you're feeling better today than you were yesterday. I know it's a bit of an uphill battle, but hey, what the heck? Might as well start moving forward. And what do we got here? Joe, how's it going? Nice to see you floating around. And I know things are getting hectic on your end. That's just plain normal. Now, what do we got here? Kate, how you doing? Glad to see you. And things are progressing. If you notice at the top of the live stream now, we do have a button for Buy Me a Coffee. On that, behind that button is access to every book that we've written, and we're starting to add more as we go. And where are we here? So ultimately, that's where we're standing right now. There's a lot of change happening. And quite honestly, it's because we decided we were orchestrating it. Today, of course, we had gaming, so that kind of cut into doing anything, like getting much accomplished. But let me see here. We are looking for this neat little sheet, in this neat little box here. I've got an address. Yeah, it's right there. Because that goes out tomorrow. But I'm looking at I'm standing over here. Yeah, I realize that. What do we got here? Yeah, it was weird, LA. Nathan and I were talking about Antarctica, and all of a sudden, all the stuff that tied it all together started coming in. So, of course, I'm starting to make notes. As a matter of fact, I should have that. Where is that? I don't know if that's right. Now, this little binder here, what is that? Oh, okay. Interesting notes, but I don't know entirely what that's for. So that one gets moved aside for the moment. And it's the journal. K should be in here, which is under P. Where are we? That file. This is the neat file that I'm using to put past lives together. Again, past lives, I find when I talk about them, bits and pieces and sometimes whole chunks of information come together. Problem is, there is no way I can prove what I've gone through. At least not that I'm aware of. So I just go, this is what we're going through. And again, if you feel you may have shared a life, okay, or if you feel you may recognize this, that's great. That's great. Drop me a line, bring it up, and if it coincides with what I already know, okay, with what I've already come to understand, okay, I will certainly corroborate it if possible. In the last 3 weeks, I've run into 3 people that we've determined we had definitive past lives with. No, I'm not going to give you the names to them. Okay. Oh, I do like that analogy there, Kate. Honestly, the reality is, from my standpoint, this is just the way I am. For those of you that are going to be in Reno, you're going to find, if you end up taking the time to talk to me, which some of you may take one look at me and go, oh, no, can't do that. That's quite possible. However, I'm going to be down there for almost a week. I'll be getting there on the 8th. Okay, now do understand, the fact I'm getting there on the 8th is absolutely, it's one of these things that day is completely booked. There's one person I know of that I'm theoretically going to be meeting aside from my other half. But let's face it, due to the fact it's her birthday, I'm not sharing that time with anybody. Okay. Now what do we got here? Joe, you're in the 3rd journal. You are doing very nicely, aren't you? As far as the journal goes, that is. It's neat. If you ever go back over it, what you'll find when you start reading it again is you may remember bits and pieces. But I do caution you, the more that you write by instinct, the better off you are, really. Okay. But you will find things come in quite nicely. Now, the 8th one I'm down there, that day's booked. The 9th, on the other hand, okay, I'm a little bit more open. And of course, in Reno, the 10th, 11th, and 12th, well, let's face it, those days are for the event itself. Okay. So that's, anytime in there, whether I'm in the event or whether I'm sitting there talking to people, okay, that's kind of up in the air at this point. I do intend on enjoying myself down there. Okay, and by the way, where are we? We are currently sitting at 599 subscribers. And to me, this is a great thing. What do we got here? Look. Just double checking what's going on. So things are growing. Of course, where is... That's an excellent question. That's one. this little file here is Posiper. So it's a little behind the eight ball, but it'll be coming, very shortly for April or for March. Needless to say, my energy's been running a little screwy lately, but that's okay. At least my health is holding. There we go. Yeah, Joe's just saying I'm starting my third dream journal, but the third one will be will be for just journaling. Excellent there, Joe. Again, now the neat part is I do a daily journal and then I'm getting it moved on to soft copy. Okay, so I got a lot of work to do on that end. Tomorrow's going to be interesting because I'm going to be working all the way through. Again, tonight I get done. And yes, I am starting to piece things together. Where are we here? Now, one of the biggest things that I'm looking at, what pray tell is that? Oh, well, ain't that trippy? That can go the way of the dodo bird. As you can see, I've got notes and all sorts of things I just don't require. That one. Where is my blue book? Yes, I seem a little scattered today. I can't imagine that. Me being scattered? Give me a break. That just doesn't happen more often than once every 5 minutes. Okay. Got that out of the way, so it can go. Now, let me ask you this. Whoop, what do we got? Can't see. Took my glasses off, buried them, can't see where they are. Primarily because I don't have x-ray vision. Oh, woo. Our sincere condolences. Mr. Ray has unfortunately passed away. Okay. But hopefully he went peaceably. I know it was a long haul, and definitely our sincere condolences to those left behind. It's really unfortunate. It happens. I mean, let's face it. Now he was pretty on in life, was he not there? Was he not there, Woo? As far as age went. I mean, it's always rough losing somebody that you've been caring for. But oh, joyful. I mean, here's the thing. He was 86 years old. He had a long life. Now, I'm guessing that the way you're putting this, the powers of attorney just decided to bring it to a close. Now there's a lot of controversy around the way that's dealt with. Okay. I know from my standpoint, I got to get my son set up to take my power of attorney if push comes to shove. Now, rest assured, I'm in no hurry to die. I'm figuring I'll be here for another, I'm aiming for another 70 years ish. Okay. 70, 75 years. And yeah, I know I'm 61. Well, just about 61. But the one thing you can take solace in there, Woo, is at least he turned around. At least he had a long life to start with. Yeah, no, I appreciate that there, Woo. And yeah, absolutely. For some bizarre reason, I'm going to have to say it's got to be after the show. But other than that, I'm more than willing to listen. Okay, there's no problem there. But absolutely, our sincere condolences. I know it's going to be it's going to leave a gap in your guys' lives. That's just the way it goes. But one thing we got to remember, and again, Every one of us, it's one thing we all have in common, one of many. But the one thing that I'm referring to is every single one of us is going to die at some point. Okay. Now, what is this? I think this is a, yep. That's one of those sheets that can just go the way of the Yldrbac. This one here, move that out of the way, and then we find out what I did with a pen. You know, things are always entertainingly complicated. I'm sure of it. I'm just debating why. Put that there. And we had something else come in. Oh, Wu's just going, only thing I worry is he wasn't spiritual at all. And I tried and tried. He just wasn't that type of person. But I pray he is in a better place. Now, here's the nice part about it. And I hope this will help set your mind at ease. Okay. And that is that you don't have to believe in the hereafter for the hereafter to believe in you. Whether you believe or not, or in this case, whether he believed or not, doesn't matter. You would be amazed how many people I see over there. They absolutely believe in everything they've been told. They get over there and they find out that what they've been told is absolutely off the mark. Now, I do not expect you to take this for granted, but I'd suggest you do simply because until you get over there, there's no proof, and I don't recommend doing that in a hurry. And Kate, you are absolutely right. And this is what we're aiming at turning around here. A long life does not mean a good one or an enjoyable one. What I'm looking at right now is how do we take the life that we have right now, the life you have, how do we make it more enjoyable? Okay. Something that you can look back on at the end of your life and go, well, as I heard one person put it, and he is in his late 60s at this point, and as he put it, what a rush, and I'm looking at this going, okay, you've heard the old saying, live fast, die young, leave a good-looking corpse. I'm telling you, if you're living fast and dying young, the odds are your corpse is not good looking. What do we got here? Yeah, Joe's just going, it really helps to understand them and the ones that are not in dreams instead of talking to myself out loud. I write them down, plus I really enjoy writing. It keeps me sane. All the writing in the world hasn't done anything for my sanity. How you doing there, Cowie? Glad you could join us. The neat part about it, this life, like right now, I'll tell you, the energy in this house is running really high. And by the look of it, we're frozen again. Shock of shocks. I'm going to hit refresh and see if that does anything. Oh, we're going to go. Oh, there we are. We're back. Well, no, we're not back moving, but we'll see what happens. It's amazing how. There we are. Woo, the answer to your question there, Woo's asking, is anyone else worried about 2024 without getting into details? Almost 100% no. I'm not worried about it at all. There's changes coming, absolutely. Okay, and there's a lot of stupid things that are going to happen. You know, the thing is, 2024, there's a lot of things happening. Where do we go? There we go. I appreciate that there, Will. You know, the reality is 2024 has a lot of potential to it. Yes, it can go screwy really quickly. Okay, but we have the opportunity at this point to avoid that little problem. Okay, to avoid it going screwy. And that literally boils down to taking a look at it and going, what do we do with it? Okay. And the way you do that is take a look at your own life and let's start shifting gears. Now, I know, for those of you in the chat room, even if you're not speaking, okay, take a look at it and ask yourself, are you content with your life the way it is right now? Okay, if you look, and where are we? There we are. I'm trying to look behind me. It'd be easier if I just picked it up and looked over there. Remembered to close my door, so that's always handy. Puckyelf, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, the neat little part about all this is, we run through some complications in a couple of weeks ago. Now things are moving forward. Okay. Okay, now here's the thing, Cowie. Okay, and this literally applies to every one of you. Cowie's made a comment when I asked if you're happy. He goes, no. And, pardon me, but I don't honestly know if Cowie is male or female. In all fairness, it doesn't matter to me. Okay. How we doing? How we doing there, Christian? Where are we? Oh, there you go. Well, here's a neat little thing. Whoa, what do we go here? Oh, interesting complication. Are we at? We are at 600, are we? So I'm going to just refresh. And we are at 600. Well, thanks, Cowie. We are at 600. It's been a long haul, but we are going to make it. Now, I know what I'm aiming for, but here's the real kicker to it. Okay. One of the neat little things that I look at, and I got to say, thank you very much, LA. I have, I've got moderators in here, so I don't have to get stressed out about things. Because I don't know about you, but I'm really done with the stressed out part. So what's happening now is we're starting to lay everything out and start making it happen. Now, this is the thing. And I go back 2 years and I'm going, if I get one follower, I figure I'm doing good. I really don't know. I really don't know how many people started off, but I do know that this whole thing started because of the people. It started with my doing pre-records because of the number of people getting on the air and start doing this. And because with that in mind, this is the link to Spaced Out Radio. Okay, so absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. And so, subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. The reason for this is by us building this network of different chat rooms, of different streams. Every one of the ones I recommend, okay, that I do promote here, I've been to. Many of them I've been on. But, when we take a look at that, okay, we have to realize that I look at these streams going, there is a lot of potential here. Okay. And the big thing from my end is I keep taking a look at it and go, there are billions of people watching this world and going, oh, it's a miserable place. I'm telling you, the world it's a lot of things. Miserable is not, in my opinion, one of them. Okay. Problem is that with roughly 80 to 85% of people being decent individuals, okay, no, scratch that. 90 to 95% of the population out there are decent individuals. Okay, it absolutely is an interesting situation. Okay, because of the people being problem children, we turn around and we turn around and we're seeing a good 90% of what's going on and that's being posted, reposted, or talked about tends to be negative. I'm just keep looking at this, what Joe's going through. I used to work in a cemetery. Of course, in all fairness, that was some 700 years ago. But it was great. Worked in the cemetery. People were literally dying for me to work with them. Okay. Bear in mind, my idea of working with them was I happen to be a mortician, a doctor. I dealt with the deceased during the Black Death. Okay. Now, it wasn't all fun and games for me. I ended up losing my wife and 2 kids. Right. Actually, technically, I didn't lose them. I knew where they were. I married them. Okay. And yes, for those of you that are sick and twisted, they were dead before I buried them. Now, there was a lifetime when that wasn't always the case, but that wasn't that one. But um the show last night on Nathan's show was priceless. We started looking at Antarctica. Cowie, the answer to your question, now get this. Okay, this lifetime I have documented something like this since my incarnation on this planet. I have documented something in the neighborhood of 18 or 20. But understand, average turnaround, if when you're coming in as a human, okay, the average turnaround time is about 70 years. Okay, now with that in mind, okay, if you count now, if you know about the idea of the Big Bang Theory, i.e., the beginning of the universe as modern science understands it. I heard that one. Okay, when I heard the way they described it, the way it was listed, it was laid out to me, is that whole thing. Um, that whole thing I call a flip. With that in mind, my memories date back a billion flips. So I have no way of giving you a number of past lives that I've had. Callie's just asking, didn't you make an agreement to spend a couple billion years in the Milky Way? More to the point, Callie, I turned around and I made an agreement with Esau. Now, Esau, as Mother Earth, as Mother Nature, as Gaia, and probably as a few other names. Okay, I know her as Esau. Okay, now with that in mind, I made an agreement with her that I would be here and I would stay watching over her until she passed away. Now, she's already been here 5 billion years ish. Okay, I'm expecting another 5 billion at least. So, yeah, I'm pretty much here. You know, now, the funny part about it is when I take a look at that. Now, bear in mind, the fact I've got memories that date back that far that I can quantify is fantastic in one sense and helps I explain a few things. Okay, I am now starting to find people that I've known from past lives. Recently, I found a friend of mine that I knew back when Thera blew. Okay, I've run into a few people I knew in Atlantis and one in Pompeii. Okay, as well as, and I don't mean just in Atlantis because you gotta remember, Atlantis itself was an empire, but it's a very big complication, a very big thing. Now the whole thing, that's right off the bat, Puck Elf. I'm going to put it to you this way. In all my time, I've never seen anybody, I've never even heard anybody successfully go back in time. And there is a reason for that. You can look back in time, absolutely. But do you realize the damage that would be done if that was handled? There we go. I'm guessing we have a behind the scenes, and I certainly, the reality is, Storm, I certainly do not require an explanation. This is why I've got you guys sitting there. So thank you very much. Yeah, that's the answer. I mean, there's a whole lot to that, and I'm not the one to be able to scientifically explain that part of it. I can certainly explain the OT drive and some of the technologies that are out there. But here's the neat little kicker to it. Okay, when we start looking at that, okay, and I guess I'm going to have to take a look at that in depth. But here's the thing: when you start looking going back in time and changing history, unless there we are, unless unless you look at the reality of it, you go back, you take Hitler out of the equation. Unless you're going to look at it and go, in another part of the multiverse, this is what happened. I can work with that because the only part of the multiverse you have to worry about. Okay. Thank you so much there, Kate. I really do appreciate that. It's weird. And, somebody asked me the other day, do you like coffee? I'm like, well, I either like coffee or I'm a glutton for punishment. But when you start looking at changing the past in this realm, and this is why I look at it and go, let's stick to this realm. You correct Hitler, early on before that. All of what we're living in is gone. Okay, it isn't a question of we have all these discussions. There wouldn't even be a recognition of whether or not there wouldn't even be a recognition of whether or not Hitler existed. If Hitler had been corrected in history, or if Attila Hun was, or if Yeshua was. Now, something I'm just going to throw this out there because, well, it seems to be one of those neat little things. Every time somebody comes up with this, something to keep in mind. Okay. Something to keep in mind is very simple. Okay. Jesus, and I'm not going to go into the whole 9 yards of that side of it, but I will tell you this. And don't take my word for it. For pity's sakes, do your own research. Jesus couldn't have existed as Jesus until the 17th, about the midway through the 17th century. As from what I understand, and I may be wrong, and if somebody can tell me, no, that's not quite accurate, I was informed that the J in the name Jesus didn't even exist until the 1750s. Okay, so when we start looking about going and correcting, Jesus' existence and what was going on there, or modifying it, we got to realize he was never known as Jesus. Okay, he was known as Yeshua. And much more importantly, he was known as rabbi or teacher. Well, that's what a rabbi is. Okay, but the message is still the same. And Lord knows I've been here a number of times trying to get people to realize that it is time to start literally doing what we should have been doing in the first place. And that's why I've got books coming out all over the place. I'm actually in the process of putting a couple more together, to bring into balance. The neat part about it is as I get them, and is that there? Okay, we have that problem. Okay, there we go. Tilt that. I've got 2 posters that are on order that are this size. Okay. I am going to be adding them to my store. Oh, there's a whole Puck Elf. And the reason we don't go that direction is there is no way I can contend with the research involved. There's a lot of people that can. I do mine by memory. Okay. And people take a look at it and go, well, that's not what it says in the history books. The reality is there's a lot of things in the history books that are ineffective. Now, those two, the posters that are about to hit, okay, and they're on order. It's just a question of waiting for them. Are these two. Okay. And that is The Birth of the Wolf Pack is coming out in poster form, as is the end of an epic, which is book 2 in the series. Well, literally speaking, it is if we look at the last trilogy. Okay. The nice part about I've got to check and see something. Did I get a response out of this? No. Of course, it's been days, so that's okay. I'm waiting to hear back from my artist over in England. Joe, what? Yeah, Kate, I've watched, I really have. I've watched what Joe's gone through. He's talked about a lot of this sort of thing. Graveyards are a lot of fun. Okay, and I understand why you would go, I couldn't live next to one. I used to go walking in them. That was before I decided I didn't want to leave the house. And thankfully, they haven't bothered putting a graveyard in my house. World, how we doing? And we got to go and find this. This is the link to World's live stream. So we do this. We go copy and we drop this in. This is the link to World's live stream. So absolutely do drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And, World, I gotta tell you, I went back and looked at that video of yours about the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons. Talk about nostalgia. I remember those days. You know, it's weird because most of what I did today I don't remember. Uh-oh. Now, did you actually get him on video, on video and get an interview with him? That'd be great. Could be entertaining. So 8 p.m. Central, that makes it, if I recall correctly, that should make it, if it's 8 p.m. Central, that should be 6 p.m. Holy mackerel, that's in less than an hour here. Okay, that should be 6 p.m. Pacific, if I recall correctly. So yeah, things are definitely changing. It's great. I gotta tell you, if you're having an interview with him there, world, you gotta see if he actually likes kokanee beer. I didn't have a big problem with it. Myself, I actually used to drink a lot of kokanee beer. Way too much in all fairness. Thanks so much there, world. So we are expanding. There's no question there. I am adding things to it now. Somebody mentioned, and I think it may have been Joe, but don't quote me on that. Whoops, Nightmare. Thanks so much for dropping in. They don't like beer or any kind of alcohol. Oh, that would make sense. But from my standpoint, there's a lot that is shifting. And I've now finally got my feet on the ground. I decided it was time to get up and running. Okay. So positive perspectives is growing. Now, I'm not likely to put comics in simply because I just do not have the artistic capability. That said, okay, I will throw this out there because some of you may be able to draw cartoons that are of a positive nature, are family oriented. Okay, if somebody is a cartoonist and we can swing a setup, something you got to remember, and the positive perspectives is literally it's a free magazine. I will not be paying for anything, but it is a good way to get known. Okay, and it will become a better way. Okay, but I have found a way to link positive perspectives and this live stream, positive perceptions, together on one panel, on one direction. Not the music group, by the way. And rest assured, you don't want me trying to sing like them. You don't want me trying to sing anyway. That'd be great, world. I know when the idea was brought to me and my attention, okay, about putting a cartoon in, because of it being like the old newspapers. Sometimes old is a good, sometimes the former way of doing things is a good way of doing it. Okay. Now, I'm all for technology. I got no problem with it in its concept. But that was supposed to make this world easier, it has done an absolutely terrible job of it on the whole. If you ask me, I mean, you think about it. We take a look at sending a letter, a physical letter, from one side of the country to the other. 100 years ago, they could get it across the country in 10 days. A physical letter. Okay. Now you're looking at 3 weeks to a month, and it's all automated. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Okay. The important factor from my standpoint is this. Okay, I wonder, did I get one of those? I don't think so. I gotta take a look at something here. Did you by any chance send me something? Nope. Here we go. See if that one sent me anything. Whoop, that is way back January 24th, so that is not what I'm looking for, so that's okay. I was just looking, I'm waiting for a couple of emails to come in, okay, that are extremely important from my end because of the fact that, I am looking at starting to let people know. Again, the reality is I'm not going to be turning positive perspectives into an advertising thing. It's not going to be just a directory. So I've got very limited advertising space. Right now, the reason I'm not selling it, just to be clear, is we only have a coverage of down there, pop this up here. We have right now a whopping coverage of 56 subscribers to the newsletter. Now remember, Positive Perspectives is and will remain free. Okay, it is free. This stream will remain free. Okay, because this is my way of helping people that cannot afford. And this is why I say, if you have a question, absolutely ask. Okay. Absolutely ask the question. And it doesn't matter what topic it's in. Okay. What matters is that people ask the questions, because I'll tell you, if you've got a question, the odds are somebody else has the same question and just hasn't come out and asked. Okay. And it is amazing how many people have the same question. This is why when I started writing the self-help books, and I'm going to be putting the backbone of another one together tonight. As you can tell, I don't slow down a lot. Okay. I am, however, now sleeping through the night. Okay. Of course, I'm still only sleeping 4 or 5 hours. Which is funny. I'm about to turn 61. I'm sleeping 4 or 5 hours between midnight and midnight. I'm finally back to the point where I'm sleeping it all in one run, which is really neat in my eyes. That was what I wanted, what I was asking for, what I was focusing on. What I wasn't counting on was not getting any more sleep, which, okay, I can work with it. That's, why don't I do that? Turn the fan on, that way I don't overheat, which is kind of an important factor. But, when you look at it, oh yeah, what is that? Gotta wait for that. Oh, okay. Yeah. LA's going, this way you get your REM sleep, 4 to 5 hours. Because I've literally had people tell me, how do you do that? Because I'll lay down, I'll be asleep before my head hits the pillow. Okay. And of course, when I wake up, I wake up and my feet hit the floor inside the first 5 minutes, most of the time. Now, I do remember about 3 weeks ago, I threw my back out, and I'll tell you, getting out of bed was almost impossible. But I'm back to the point. My body, my energy starts to tank about 10 o'clock. Of course, I'm back up somewhere between 1:30 a.m. and 3 o'clock a.m. I'm back on the go. Which for me is great. But I've been tracking what I've been up to. And again, okay, I keep this handy. This neat little clipboard to give me an idea of the list of things that I've got to do. And no, I don't expect you to read that. Okay. Bring it forward so you can see there is actually writing. But I do that to make sure that I stay on top of things, that I get things accomplished. Okay. Now, of course, when I'm looking at the self-help books I'm writing, these are built with very simple tools, easy to follow, thoroughly tested. Okay. They're the same tools I personally have used. Okay. And in many cases, they have been shared with literally thousands of other people. What do we got here? The one thing, I'm just looking back up to what Joe's going through. And Joe, the making sense of it is this. Okay, in a nutshell, just consider you have a physical body. Everybody has one. You also have a soul. When your physical body dies, okay, the soul often is still attached to it, especially if you feel like you haven't finished what you were setting out to do. Therefore, when your body gets buried in the ground, okay, the soul quite often will still hang around it. Sometimes to talk to the loved ones left behind. Sometimes, like I saw in one case, where the boyfriend and girlfriend ended up passing away. And the thing is, I think if I recall correctly, the boyfriend passed away first, right? And then the girlfriend passed away a number of years later. But the moment she passed away, they were both still young when they went. Okay, but I watched an event where the girlfriend came and where there was a little blue light, jammed only about the size of a Christmas light, rose up out of the grave, floated across 3 or 4 grave sites down, and dropped into the next one. And when that happened, we went over and checked it out. Turned out that was the boyfriend's grave. So as near as we could piece together, she reconnected with him after they died. It's kind of like both of you blowing your car apart and then meeting on foot later. But no, in my case, I've literally been known to fall asleep, completely asleep, standing up. Okay, now that was many years ago, before my right leg wouldn't hold me for that long. Now the thing with the newsletter, yes, it's 100% free, but the reality of it is, I do not send it out to people that don't directly ask. Okay, and as LA pointed out, that little button right at the top of the link, okay, that buy me a coffee button, will get you straight to the page to order, to ask for the line for Positive Perspectives. And again, it is 100% free. Quite frankly, it's one of these few things that is free. Primarily because, from my standpoint, why not? You guys share your time with me on this stream. And amazingly enough, we've got 600 subscribers now, which means to me, I'm looking right now, and I go with that neat little scale of 6 that I learned from I learned it from my uncle. Okay, if you see one mouse in a building, and bear in mind, my uncle was a health inspector, my father worked for pest control, both said the same thing. You see one mouse in the house, you're dealing with at least 6 more. Okay, so just at that point, we've got 8 in the chat room right now, meaning we likely have somewhere close to 50 listening in. And for those of you listening in, absolutely, if you've got a question, even if it's not in the same topic, drop in, put the question in the chat room. Okay, but definitely put it in with all caps. Okay, with all caps, partial caps, or at least a wavy hand to get my attention. Okay, I will do my best to give you a straightforward answer. Now, I do not need that. What do we got here? Go back to there. And we are looking at things changing. The reality is there's a lot that I intend to make happen. But I'm asking you guys for your help, because here's the thing. One person is not going to change the way this world is. Okay? It's just not going to work that way. But what I've got going on here, that's my list of things to do. I should, let me see here. If I go, can't see. Of course, I think that has something to do with the fact I'm on the wrong side of the page. Okay. Take a look at that one. And I require blank paper. I might just well do this while I'm at it. Okay. Not getting into a whole pile of writing and what have you. That always confuses things. But getting things set to be translated does work well. So when we start looking at the whole thing of past life, now here's the funny part. Okay, at least for me it's kind of comical. I take a look at my past life memories, and before you jump on anything, there is no way I can prove what I'm about, the list I'm about to talk about. Okay, now, this lifetime, that's the easy part. But my last lifetime was from Chicago, Illinois. Okay, my last lifetime, I was a violent individual. So, and all I'm doing is putting the title down because I'm starting to add to them. And the neat little part is when we talk about things like this, okay, it brings back more memories. Just like for you, Joe, when you start journaling about something you see in the cemetery, or when people start writing down, even if all you remember is that you were dreaming, write it down. Okay, because as you do that, you'll bring some of the other memories tied to it back to the surface. Now that's Chicago. We have here, we've got a lifetime in Manoa. We have a lifetime in Atlantis. This one, this is just very point form. Okay. We had our lifetime in Pompeii. That was wonderful. Not really. I mean, I lost a lot of friends there. Okay. We have our lifetime in during the Black Death. That was cute. Because the Black Death, I was literally absolutely Joe. Joe's just reminding us, for anyone in chat besides me who are experiencing paranormal activity, just remember, no matter how bad it gets, it won't harm you. I've been there. Now, yes, for those of you that are a little bit more on the extremist side, there have been cases, but they are extremely rare, very few, very far between, where things can get dicey. But on the whole, the dead don't desire to bring people over here. Or over there is more to the point. Okay, now that was the Black Death. And these are just right off the top of my head. Then we had in Rome as a peasant. Where are we here? In Rome as a soldier. I spent a lot of time in Rome, by the way. In Rome as a senator. And, gee, that was real quick. I did not realize I had that many that would come to light right off the hop. And here's the neat part about it. Okay. I also was in Rome. And I didn't recall this until I got talking to somebody about it during the gladiatorial revolution. Now, the thing is, I always held I wasn't the one that started that. I just got involved in it. Okay. What I found out, though, is that I was involved in that neat little war, in the neat little revolution. Okay, the revolt led by Spartacus. Okay, I was not Spartacus because, like I said, I was not the one that started the fire, that started it. Okay, then we have in 1828, we had Ireland. Okay, and in Ireland, I was a fisherman. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. And of course, at one point, I am still working on some of the time frames. Okay. But we had the time when I was actually a warlock. Okay. This is why I say past lives are relatively a simple thing. Okay. It's just like, and I'm going to say something that's going to sound completely backwards, but if you're remembering past lives, the odds are they may seem like a dream. Okay. And for other people to corroborate certain things before I will turn around and say, yep, that was me. Oh, we were in the same place. Okay. So with that in mind, past lives can bring a whole lot to you. If you know how to meditate, even a little, you can focus on your past lives, remember them in more of a mundane level, but at the same time, you can actually bring your memories of past skills back to the surface. Okay, one of the things I have started working on is literally writing with my left hand again. There we go. Now, yeah, the neat part about it, Joe, I know you were looking at lights the other day. Did you by any chance find anything out more, especially about the blue lights? Did you find anything more out about that phenomenon? It really boils down to my looking at it going, this is an interesting situation. And bearing in mind that I don't personally do any research, I find it tedious amongst other things. Okay, but I do like seeing when people are actually making headway and reclaiming power over your own life. Now, let me ask you this, and this applies to all of you people. Okay, that was really bad English. So was that, by the way. Really poor English. Of course, we call it poor English, and I'm looking at it going, is there such a thing as wealthy English? I'm thinking probably not a whole lot. But it is time that we start really looking at the way the world is moving and decide, are we going to tolerate it, and are we just going to stand by and watch it dig itself into another crater? Okay, that is where your choice comes in. Now, I have found there are three types of people. Okay, about 1% of the people out there. Okay, and you guys get to figure out where you fit into this category, into these three slots. And you'll notice that funny little thing about three being the connective issue. Okay, but the first type, 1%, go out and make things happen. Okay, this does not mean they are the wealthiest people. This means they simply get an idea and they make things happen. Oh, no problem there, Joe. I am very glad to help. You know, about 1% of the population makes things happen. Okay, they find a way to investigate, they find a way to modify things. Okay, then you've got about 4% of the population that watch things happen. Some of those 4% will turn around and jump on the wagon that the 1% are doing and help to orchestrate it. But they don't lead the way. They simply jump on and give a hand. No problem there. Again, with Inner Voice Enterprises, I am not looking at having a board of advice of directors. Okay, I am looking for people to help with getting things moving, but that's a board of advisors, and I am looking into the whole 9 yards. Okay, it's a bit complicated in a lot of ways, but 4% roughly will watch things happen. The thing that I find absolutely appalling, and it's been this way for centuries, is about 95% of the population sit there and, I kid you not, they wonder what happened. Okay, now, this is not a great ratio, but it is what I've come to understand. Now it's a time of an opportunity for us to sit down together and go, this is what I'm working on. Okay, in my eyes, we've got a golden opportunity to shift the consciousness of people, the awareness, simply by getting you to ask questions. Okay, now I think I've got, let me see here. I have no idea what that is. You guys look into that. On Monday, okay, on Monday, we're going to be taking a look at, right in, like, we're looking at this right now. And again, if you've got questions, absolutely put them out there. Okay, tomorrow we're going to be looking at the race that is known as the Yldrbac. Now, this is the only race, the only species I know of that came through and literally came from the last incarnation and carried over into this one. Okay, but tomorrow we're going to be looking into a lot more of the detail there. And I do know, I was talking to, when we were on the show with Nathan the other day, on Saturday, he was talking about us going a little further into it. And absolutely we're going to. It just boils down to what he desires for the time. Okay, so again, if there are things that if you are looking for it, stop and go back and think. If you like the channel, do give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing if you would be kind enough to do so. Because it's literally by sharing ideas with each other that we can actually make things happen. That we can actually take the tide of the world the way it is and get it moving in the right direction, as in where it's beneficial for people. Kate, absolutely. Kate's going, can I ask about smells? You absolutely can. Again, doesn't matter what the question. This is open today. Okay. And Kate's going, my mother-in-law passed 8 years ago. She was a heavy smoker, and sometimes, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, I get a strong smell of cigarettes, like someone blowing it in my face. Okay. Oh, no problem with the typos, Kate. You should try mine. Okay, but the odds are extremely good that is your mother-in-law stepping back in and letting you know she's there. Because the reality is, when they do try and make contact, or when they make contact, they usually target a memory that will bring that person to your mind. Okay, in her case, heavy smoking. Okay, now normally they will do something that is reminiscent of what they used to do. Iowax, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. And the unmitigated truth of it is no. I have, at least as far as I'm aware, I've never heard the song Handlebars by Flowbots. But then I don't recognize the name of the group Flowbots. So no, I would have to say pretty not much not likely. Now I don't know. I may have heard it via my son, via either one of my sons. I don't even know what genre that particular group is. But to be clear, I'm country. Okay, there is some soft rock I like, but the backbone of it has always been for me country. Okay, so the second we get outside of that, I'm pretty much hooked. In all fairness, I'm very much a creature of habit. Okay, I don't vary my schedule very much at all. It's a weird setup, my planning on going to Reno. Okay, a very weird setup. But it's one of these things that is changing. Oh, Iwalks goes, it's a frightening story. The song tells about human potential. Human potential is a phenomenal thing. And let me put it this way. People I talk to all the time go, "Oh, the elites are doing this." Let me ask you this. What is the difference? What is the difference between you as an individual and the biggest successful icon you know? What is the difference between you and them? Any idea? Okay, because let me ask you this other side of it. Do you feel that the people that are being tagged as elites, do you feel these people are any different from you? Yes, they've got an upper hand on finances, but does this mean you can't? Okay, maybe maybe they're bloodline. So one of their ancestors did a lot of work, and all of a sudden their whole family is set up nicely. Well, here's the kicker to it: you've got the same potential. Granted, it's going to take you time as well. Okay. See, I can't ride a bicycle I can't ride a stationary bike anymore. Simply because with my leg the way it is, I put any pressure on it in a circular motion like that, and it pops out of joint. A lot of fun, not a lot of enjoyment. Okay, so I just don't do that anymore. But when you look at potentiality, every one of you has the capacity to alter not only your life, but the lives of everybody around you. Whoop. The funny thing is, it requires people from every walk of life and every mindset to make this world work. Yeah, LA is just going, many of those elites are billed as overnight successes. They are hardly overnight. Most have worked tirelessly for the fame, money, or what have you. Now, here's the thing: in 40 years, okay, and yeah, I realize I'm working on borrowed time. I'm working on stolen time. Okay, I died the day I was born. I died when I was 20 months old, when I was 5, when I was 8. Get the picture? Okay, but 20 years down the road, let's do it that way. I intend to be recognizable. Now, I'm a recluse. Okay, I'm very reclusive. I don't go out and get very far out. This is why when we talk about the trip to Reno, there are many of you that say, I'd love to, I'd like to meet you. Well, here's the kicker. Come to Reno, you may just get that opportunity. Now, I look in the mirror going, look, I'm not that special. I'm really not. I've got a very different outlook on life. Only now I know why. And that is directly attributable to a conversation I had with Nathan just yesterday. Okay, for me, the fame, the money, it doesn't matter. What does matter is whether people start treating each other decently. Now, not every time, many times over my past lifetimes, I've come back and said, hey, guys, you gotta treat each other properly. Even the gladiatorial revolt, I was telling the gladiators, I know you guys are going to end up killing some of the innocents. It's going to happen. But do your best to keep your wits about you. If somebody is not armed, leave them alone. They're not one of the problem children. Okay, certainly, you're not happy with the politicians. Certainly, deal with that. Okay, the military, if they happen to be carrying weapons, absolutely, that's what's got you into this. But keep in mind, if a military person drops their weapon and starts to run away, let them go. They got the message. They're no longer a major threat. Okay, I'm telling you guys the same thing. Not about an impending gladiatorial arena. Okay, fortunately, that does not seem to be the big issue. But I will tell you this. With the way I'm looking at the world, with the way I'm looking at and laying out Inner Voice Enterprises, I kid you not, 80% of the 80% of my net profit, meaning I will take all the money I require to make ends meet first. Now that includes normal living expenses and company expansion. Okay, once those bills are covered, 80% of what is left over will be going back to purchasers, to customers, to clients, to contributors, to supporters, to members of essentially my satellite staff. Okay, now here's the thing. Okay, I started out 2 years ago, it was me only. And in all fairness, it's been me only since 2007. Okay, but last year I brought one extra person to work, and this year we are now working with 4 of us. Okay, now this means things are going to start moving. I am looking for other people to help, but I've got very specific things in mind and very specific areas that I'm looking for. But again, this is not for positive perspectives and positive perceptions. It is not something I'm charging for. Therefore, it's purely voluntary. Okay. But like I said, contributors or people that are helping are going to end up getting some benefit. Now, I know, what was it? I gotta figure this. Well, I don't technically have to, but if I take this and I go, oh, okay, I don't need that. I was about to do a mathematical calculation. What's 10% of 170? Okay, or more to the point, what's 10% of $170? I was about to turn and try and figure that out with a calculator. I'm thinking, where is my brain? Joseph, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day's been going well. By the way, Joe, we just about an hour ago, we just broke the 600 mark. But no, I'm sitting there going, okay, I've got one person that brought $170 into my business via consultation, book, the purchase of a book, that sort of thing. Okay, because of that amount, I am probably tonight, but I am sending her back $17 in cash. Okay, now it'll be done via money transfer because that's how it's got to go. Okay, but I mentioned to you guys at the beginning of the year that I was implementing a referral base. Okay, and whatever somebody is bringing in, I've got a sliding scale to do it. Okay, and no, I'm not going to go into the idea of trying to explain that to you. I will tell you this. If you own a business and you desire to implement this, this system, absolutely give me a call. Now, I will tell you, I'm not about to sell you the method. Okay, I will explain it to you because it's one of these things that, quite frankly, in my eyes, works very well. Because you got to remember, if we're going to turn this world, we cannot keep leaving it to run the way it's been running. That's where we have the problem. Is so many people are going, but this is the way I was taught. You absolutely were. And this is why I don't blame you guys for that. Okay. But at the same time, it's time to remember some old tricks. Okay. And this is what we're working on now. Now, what I was planning on doing and just didn't get to it, okay, was to get some of my figures out to paint. Didn't work out that way. But we are looking at things changing in a very positive fashion. It's funny, I look at it, and when you look in the mirror, what is the one thing you would like to change about you? Maybe you've been postponing it. Maybe you've been simply procrastinating. Okay. But it's time for us all to look in the mirror and go, what are we doing? Are we content? Now, I will tell you, okay, where it comes to what I'm doing with Inner Voice, I am going global. Christine, how are you doing? Glad you could join us. We are going global. Well, we're already global, but now we're pushing to actually make it explode. Okay, in a positive fashion. And that's where you guys come in. I appreciate the help that you've already given me and the encouragement. Absolutely appreciate it. Okay, but if we stay on the path we're on, we are in serious trouble. Now, you think about it. 2,000 years ago, purportedly, somebody came onto this planet and said, hey guys, let's be nice to each other. Now he pulled together 12 core people to help pass the word along. And here we are 2,000 years later, and all sorts of things are going on. World, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Really do appreciate it. And let's do this. Pull that up. Bonus. And again, this is the link to World's live stream. So absolutely drop in. Give him a thumbs up if you like what he has to say. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Oh. Okay, now you're going on right now. You're on for an hour, are you not, World? Yeah, I will pop in as soon as I'm done my stream. So for obvious reasons, it won't be for the first half hour, but I will certainly pop in. Okay, I'm wide awake right now, and as long as I keep moving, I'll be fine. So obviously, I mean, we're hitting 6 here. I got a half an hour here, but I will pop in and, hopefully we'll bring a whole pile of people with us, because it's sharing these links, it's sharing this information with each other that we can actually make a change in this world, in spite of what the so-called leaders are doing. And the reason I call them so-called is because here's my own belief. Okay, I am a firm believer. I am a very firm believer that the leaders of this world are not the governments. They are not the so-called elites. And they are certainly not the church, any of the churches, or the corporations. The leaders of this world are you guys. And the leaders that are coming up are the children. Okay, these are the people we have to redirect and show them how to do things. I've thought about the idea of being in both, but it doesn't work well for me. Absolutely, world. World's going, we need positive energy light workers to rally right now and help the Sasquatch people in their project. Yeah, this is definitely something that I'd like to step in and see what they're up to. For obvious reasons, I don't run into the Sasquatch very often. It's pretty much, it's pretty much an interesting situation because I cannot run into the Sasquatch myself because, well, odd thing. I don't leave my house. I don't run into Sasquatch. But I definitely, yeah, and I will. This is why I say, well, absolutely drop in there. So many people look at Bigfoot as a primitive entity. And I'm telling you, they got more brains and more they are gentler than many people I know. Okay. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to drop in on. Nice part about it from my end is as soon as I get in there, I will let you know I'm there. And then we'll see what happens. Now, what we are looking at right now is we are sitting on a golden opportunity for all of us to pitch together and literally not just tell people what we desire to happen, but make it happen. Okay. There's this theory out there that thinking about doing something is as good as doing it. Okay. Problem is that actually doesn't hold a lot of water. The reality when we start looking at it is that thinking about doing something, if thinking about doing something worked, if that was all it took, this little book, and mine is not the best one out there. Okay, there are a staggering number of authors that are far better than I am, far better recognized, that have written about the same kind of an idea. Oh, the world has died and gone to heck in a handbasket. If all it took was thinking about that to make it happen, you realize our world would no longer exist. Okay, it's just one of those little things. It makes a great storyline. The thing with what I've written is a lot of the events I've either gone through myself or I've talked to people that have. Yeah, world goes, intention without action is ineffective. Absolutely. Uh oh, no, Christine, the reality of heck is, well, from my standpoint, you take care of that world. Oh, okay. Sadly, Christine, in case you hadn't noticed, I'm really not. I've been accused by my other half of not being good at not picking up jokes or that sort of thing. You know, I do my best, but quite frankly, I think I'm one of the slowest people on the planet. But one thing is for certain, I am gearing up to come south of the border, and I am, for me, it's one heck of an excursion because I haven't like number one, I don't leave my house much, but the trip down to Reno, I'm going down there. That's the first time I'll have left the city in 4 years. Okay. Now, of course, the reality is I'm starting to plan other trips. And absolutely, am I open to come to other conferences and talk about what I've seen? Absolutely, I am. But I only go by invite. Because, the reality is that where it comes to these big events, SOR, the Spaced Out Radio Party, that's the third annual one. I've been asked the last two. The last two I've been invited to, and because of lockdown, I didn't make it. Lockdown or finances. This year I'm going. But this year I'm going down, like I said. The 8th is booked. The 9th is open to do a little bit of interaction, depending. 10th, 11th, and 12th, that's when the party is. On those 3 days, I could be looking at very long days, but we'll see how that plays out. Okay. And then, of course, the 13, I'm pretty solidly booked. Yeah. Christine goes, I don't feel comfy with travel anymore. I don't feel comfortable leaving my house anymore. That's the sad part. This is why I say, when it comes to any consultation, okay, we absolutely have to realize that I do that by video. I know that feeling there, Kate. I did find it, I don't know if you guys can do this. My ex actually taught me how to order groceries online. I don't even have to leave the house to go grocery shopping anymore. You know, see, yeah. Christine's going, I lived a fuller life in my early life. So did I, but it was a dangerous one. In my early years, I ended up getting into, yeah, you know, I ended up getting into heavy drugs and heavy alcohol to get a 100% stranger out of the same mess. It worked. Bad idea. Great idea to get them out. Bad idea, the methodology. Yeah, it is a very, anxiety can cause all kinds of problems. Yeah, it is. Christine, yeah, Christine's going, it's good that we force ourselves sometimes. Yeah, it is necessary, no doubt. This doesn't mean it's easy by any stretch. And for those of you that think anxiety is just, oh, what are you worried about? It's not a problem. For the people suffering from anxiety, it absolutely is a devastating problem. Okay. And this is something we have to realize. It is absolutely a devastating problem. Okay. To the point, well, I was walking down the hall in my own apartment here. Well, in the apartment block. I'm coming in through the door, and My leg was going great, so I figured, what the heck, leave the cane alone. Yeah, that was a brilliant idea. Leg buckled, and I nearly put my shoulder through the wall. Okay, but this is something I've had to come to terms with. And yeah, you can bet your bottom. No, but this really boils down to an interesting situation. Yeah, Raven. Curiosity. Like Raven just saying she wants to or not, yeah. Kate is saying she wants to visit Canada next year. Okay. Any idea whereabouts you're planning on going? Because I mean, let's face it, Canada is one massive country. And there's a whole lot of open area. Which for me I like. Yeah, I understand that, Christine. This is why, like Christine's just saying, I say no to my friends to hang out. I know how that works. Prior to lockdown, I used to have to come up with reasons why, you know, why I would not go out, why I didn't want to go out. I have to come up with reasons. Then lockdown came, and the governments and the people around the world said, stay home, stay away from people, drink warm liquids. I'm sitting here going, I don't like going out. I don't like being around a lot of people, and I got a 30-cup burner at home. I'm good. I'll tell you that 2 years was a blessing. I never had to come up with a single reason why I didn't leave the house. What have we got here? LA goes, ordering groceries online sure calms down the impulse. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It absolutely cuts down on your impulse buying. The other thing it does, by the way, and I find this myself, my sons will come to me and go, can we get this on the next order? I'll put it in the grocery cart, and I'll leave it there until I go to place a full order. Then when I go to place a full order, it's already there and I don't forget it. Yeah, Christine, one neat little trick that you can use, and I know it works because I utilize it. If you're around a lot of people, find something solid, a, a table that usually sits on the floor, okay, the corner of a wall, a chair, a large chair that stays on the floor, okay, such as a recliner or just one of the heavy duty lounge chairs. Put your hand on it. Right hand or left hand doesn't matter. Okay. You put your hand on it and you literally feel the excess energy running out of your hand, much like water out of a faucet. You'll feel two things happen. One, you'll feel a little heavier. And I mean physically a little heavier because you're bleeding off excess energy. But the other thing you'll find is your anxiety dissipates. Yeah. Kate's just going, I've lost many friends and family who don't have the patience. Absolutely. You know, I have, I'm down to realistically 4 or 5 friends. Okay. Some of them are on the other side of the continent at this point, and I'm going down to see them this year. I'm dragging myself out of the house. Okay, Reno ought to be enlightening. I intend on meeting as many people down there as I can get away with. Christine, here's the thing. Okay, it's great to go and visit your friends, your family. Absolutely a great idea. If you're not comfortable driving, that's where they have to deal with it. Now, the new baby, rest assured, is going to be fine as far as not seeing you right away. Okay, that's an ego thing. Okay. That's an ego thing on their part, not on the kid's part. You know, the neat part about it is if you can get yourself to go, certainly go. From your standpoint, I am presuming you like little munchkins. Here's the thing, Christine, and I know this as an absolute certainty. If you're not comfortable with you're not going to bond successfully with somebody else. Whether it's a child or not won't matter because they can sense the discomfort right off the bat. Now, they may not be able to identify why, but as you know, okay, at least I'm presuming you know, all kids will sense if something is wrong. And if you're not comfortable with yourself, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to know it. Okay. I am kind of curious. Like, I'm going down when I head for Reno. I've arranged to actually have my other half come and meet me physically for the first time in 3 years. Okay. Now, this is going to add a whole lot of added stress to what we're going through. But I'm wondering how many of the people coming to the event are bringing children, even if we're talking about bringing young teenagers. Okay, this is the neat part about it. Like, meeting people face to face is something that this society has lost track on. Okay, and it's one of these things that we have to look at and go, okay, how are we going to change this? It's not going to happen by wishful thinking. Yeah, in all fairness, LA, I'm not betting on it either. Most kids and most teenagers don't have a lot of draw to it. I do know when I went to the Paracon in Skagit County a few years ago, there were a couple of kids that came there. Okay, but they really are. It really is an adult get together. And it's not that I've got anything against kids. It's just I know it's an adult get together. And it can get very boring for many of them. Okay, but then again, I take a look at the people that are older than me. And there's a lot of people that are still, that I'm talking about corporally older. Okay, I gave up looking for people that are older than me from a spiritual standpoint. But even the ones that are chronologically older than me this lifetime, I still look at them as though they are children. Okay, and I will tell you, doesn't matter who you are going to get older. It is your call if you're going to be old. Okay. Now, no, it is not necessarily your call whether your body breaks down. Lord knows if it was my call solely, I wouldn't have as many heart attacks as I've had. You know, but we are looking at a world right now where I'm going to tie off things with positive perspectives today. I've still got a number of things I got to transfer over. You know, but the reality is I keep getting sidetracked. I've got this brilliant idea. I may have too many projects on the go all at once. Okay, so I'm paring them down to make headway. Joseph goes, darn it, I'd go be a hermit if it were for a handful of people. And you want us to reverse that? No, here's the thing, Joe. It's not a question, it's not a question of reversing it. It's a question of people making the effort to communicate. Now, you're one of these people. Yes, you may keep your distance, but you're very active reaching out and talking to people from what I've gathered. Okay, but it really is more targeting the younger generation, not the people that are in their latter years. You get into a routine, and it can be a little bumpy, but the younger generation still has a lot of life to experience, and if they stay hidden, they're not going to experience it. And then the generation they break up and bring up behind them is going to be in even bigger trouble. And this is what we're aiming at changing, not the people our age. And correct me if I'm wrong there, Joe, but you're somewhere around my age. You might even have a day or two on me. I'm turning 61, and you may have a day or two on me. But I'm talking about guiding the younger ones to spend time together, to get to talk to each other face to face. You know, I am so close to being a hermit myself. Yeah, you got a day on me. You got a decade on me. And you're still a young sprog. You know, the funny part about it is you've seen a lot of life. You've done a lot of things. So many people that are younger have not lived life. They crawled into what we called the idiot box, and they lost their minds. Or they lost their minds and crawled into an idiot box. I'm not entirely sure which. But, when we start looking at it now, the theory is if you talk to some people, Joe goes, I'm going to say it's been at least 4 years since I really figured out how empathic I was. And that's one of the biggest hiccups we've got is people don't realize it. But yeah, LA, it did. Okay, when it came out in 1956, if I recall the year correctly, the idiot box drained people's will, stopped them from going out and using their imagination, stopped them from trying new things, and I mean new things in an intelligent fashion. Okay, it really crippled the creative side of things, and it made people sit back and go, I'm just going to stare at the idiot box. Called an idiot box because it really encouraged people to stop thinking. Okay, today's world is very much a result of that. Yeah, LA goes, I was born that year, but never saw television until I was nearly 10. Well, yeah. See, I spent a lot of time around it, but then you got to remember, in my family, there were 8 kids, 2 adults, and a number of temporary residents that would come and go. So, of course, the TV was always on. But I was colorblind, so the whole thing was black and white until 2007. In 2007, I ended up with an overdose of anesthetic and morphine that kicked my eyesight in, and now I can see color. I still have some trouble with yellow, it appears, but I'm not entirely certain on that. But what I do know is it's got a lot more color than it ever used to. Now I'm looking at the world going, what are we going to do to curb that, to turn that tide? How are we going to compete literally with several billion people that are letting their brains go? Where are we, Christine? No, in 2007. Okay, well, wasn't so much. Now let me think here. I lied. It was not 2000. Mistaken. Sorry. Wasn't 2007. It was in 2000 and yeah, it was 2007. In 2004, February 3rd, at approximately roughly February 1st. Sorry, January 3rd. of 2004, my leg gave out and I snapped my right arm. Now, I know you can't see this, but I've got a scar that is that long. Okay. I broke the arm so bad they had to bolt it. Okay, they had to plate the thing back in place. Now, I was told I would be 4.5 to 6 months before it even started to heal. I told the doctor, I couldn't afford to be broken that long. I'll tell you, I guess it was roughly 8 o'clock in the morning of January 3rd, 2004. My leg gave, and I snapped my arm. At approximately 7 o'clock that night, in another city, I come out of the operating room. Okay, but in order to make things work, I end up suffering from an overdose of morphine and anesthetic, courtesy of the doctors. Understand it wasn't their fault that they couldn't compensate for my body. Okay, but on January 12th of 2004, I had already healed the bone. And then in 2007, on my way down to Vancouver, okay, we were on the Coquihalla Highway going up through the mountains. And all of a sudden everything shifted gears. And I'm driving along and I looked out the window and I went, the grass out there is green. And of course, one of the girls who I went to school with, she happened to be riding with me. And she goes, Keith, it's always been green. Wait a minute. You were colorblind. I said, well, I know I was colorblind. Okay. Since then, I've been able to see color. Okay. It's a weird feeling for me, even now, to be able to look at, for instance, I look at the picture on the screen, all kinds of color. I look at that neat little blurb up at the top pinned with the Buy Me a Coffee link. Okay, I can actually see it's blue and yellow with black and white writing. This is something that back in 2007, all I'd have seen was a gray wash. That's it. Okay, so it's a very different world for me. And it's very much one that the doctors have no way of compensating for. They keep trying to figure out how to compensate, and it's just not working that well. Okay, but what do we got here? There we are. But right now, I'm going to ask you this. Okay, we have a world here that we can change. Now, let me ask you, in your eyes, with what you know, with what you remember, oh, I agree with you there wholeheartedly, Joe. When I was colorblind, I used to see one shade of red and one shade of green. Other than that, I saw nothing but gray. Now, I was lucky because at the time up here, the street lights, as in the traffic lights, were all one shade. Okay. And I just happened to be able to see it. But there's absolutely all kinds of different levels of color blindness. But let me ask you this. In your eyes, guys, do you feel that if we work together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody? There will be diehards that want to go, no, I like the way the world is. I've got all the money I desire, and I'm going to keep doing what I can to stop that from happening. From them and from me not getting it. There are people that are like that. There have always been people like that. The question is, do you feel that for people such as yourselves, we can actually make that change where you've got the affluence to be able to actually afford to live, to enjoy money and to enjoy life using your own money, not relying on somebody else. Now, don't get me wrong. No individual stands alone. Okay, we all require help. No question there. And this is why I say the encouragement I've received from you guys has been absolutely incredible. It's been absolutely mind-boggling. So, I mean, all in all, it's actually a really good opportunity we've got here to take the time to change what we're up to. And now is the time to get up, to stand up, and to literally join hands and put our heads together to make this a shift. Okay, now, before I tie things off, tomorrow is Monday. We're going to deal with aliens. Okay, we're going to look at the Yldrbacs, the only race that I know of that came across through the rebuild. Okay, through the newest rendition. Okay, and absolutely, if there's other questions you've got, absolutely bring them along, and I will do what I can to answer them. That's just the way that I operate. Now, with that in mind, this has been I really enjoy being here. I really appreciate the assistance and the support. Okay, the other thing here is this. I am absolutely tickled pink. We've hit 600 subscribers. Now, it's going to be a little bit before we come above that where it's stable. I know this. But to hit there at all, we came up for air. Now it's time to carry on. Nathan, how are we doing? Glad you could join us. Caught us right at the tail end. And with that in mind, let's pop this up. This is the link to Nathan's show, to Nathan's live stream. So we pop this in. Do drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. That would be appreciated. Okay. Now, with all, as far as that goes, I'm going to have to talk to Nathan in the very near future because we've got an unfinished podcast to deal with. Pick a day there, Nathan, and we'll see what we can do about making it happen. Except tonight. Now, because tonight we're already pretty badly booked, and besides that, you're not on. Now, where is it? There. Now, guys, this is the 2-hour mark. So again, I'm going to bring this to a close. I really want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Okay. It really is appreciated. That is the link to World Bigfoot. Okay, to World Bigfoot's live stream. Drop in, give him a listen. Apparently, he's got a really important message for us all from Sasquatch. Okay, so with that in mind, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Really appreciate it. For those of you that bought me a coffee, thanks so very much. Really appreciate it. Moonhawk, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay, unfortunately, we are at a close. I will catch up with you again. But for now, have a great night. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. And until we can see each other again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.